All right, so I was finally able to take the M1A out and take my first few shots with it. This video is probably not going to be too long. It's just a first impression of shooting it. Now, I have owned an M1A in the past, and I love them. I love the design, the old style Garand type action with the bolt, with the extra capacity magazine is very nice to have. A few quick little observations about it. Trigger was the trigger was kind of something that I was not super happy with. Now, just so everybody knows, the weapon is safe. I do have a mag in it. We'll take that out. Just do a quick little check for you. As you can see, there's daylight in there. No rounds in the chamber. Well, whatever. You get the point. There's no rounds in the chamber. It's safe. There you go. But one thing that I will point out is that this particular trigger, compared to the Scout Squad that I had, is extremely light, which is awesome for quick shooting, but it's not awesome for precise shooting, or rather rapid precise shooting. One thing that I would find is I would shoot it and the trigger would, as I would go to reset, like I was taught, you fire, you squeeze and hold, you don't let the trigger launch back forward again, but you hold, and then you slowly reset it, get past the, well, it'll click, and then that's when it's reset and you're ready to fire again. One thing with this particular rifle is that once you get past that, for whatever reason, there is a point where somewhere between you getting to the reset, well, somewhere in there, it will just send the hammer forward again. And so what would happen is, as I would go to reset, I would ease forward and it would click and then fire 2 shots again, which, if you're trying to, I don't know, shoot full auto, I guess that's great. That's not what my plan is, especially not with this, because most of that, you just go way off. Not my favorite. The best workaround that I found for it was to, when you fire, send the hammer forward and then just let off completely. Because the truth is, because it's so light, the trigger is actually very easy. So it's, you go back and it's pretty much right there. Let me try again. So when the trigger resets, there's no, like on an AR, or like my AR, if you ease forward, it'll lean forward a little bit more. With this one, resetting means the trigger goes as far forward as it can. And so literally, once you got it set, that's it. There's no take up. It's right there. Which is nice, but that just means that for this particular rifle, I have to adjust the way that I shoot, and that's simply let the trigger go all the way forward. It's not a big deal. I just have to change some thinking on my end. One thing, obviously with this being a standard length barrel and not the Scout Squad that I had before, I did a little bit of a sort of running gun, but it was outside, so the limitations weren't totally there. But with this barrel, it is long. It's very, it doesn't maneuver as well as the Scout Squad did. But, it's really not that much heavier. I know that ballistically, they're not too different between the standard that is and the Scout Squad. I wanted the longer barrel just because, whatever, when you're shooting out that far. This is obviously not made to be a precision rifle. But, every little bit helps, I guess, right? But then, so the last time you saw this, I was installing the Sadlak Industries scope mount, and it still sits on there today, except instead of the Strike Eagle 1-6, I now have a Strike Eagle 3-18 by 44. This was newer as of, I think, last year, 2019 or the end of 2018, early 2019-ish. And it's a great little scope package. I love the reticle. It's the T reticle, and it's got a windage and elevation hash marks. I'll probably show that here. And then, which I really loved, it's really great for, if you need to kind of figure out where your shots are going. For zeroing in, it helps. And then if you need to take shots where you don't have time to zero, what I was thinking of using this for is specifically as like a hunting / fun rifle. I have an AR-15, which is my pretty much all-time fun rifle. There's not a whole lot you can hunt with it. I mean, I know you can, but I needed some more of the 308 style round, and this is a good crap hits the fan / hunting rifle. So that's what I went with. That's kind of why I went with it. Great overall rifle though. It's super robust. Couple of issues with failure to feed, but I believe that was really more magazine related, or more, ammo related, really, because I ran 3 different types of ammo during that shooting process. I used some of the Remington 308 180 grain, and then some of the Sig Sauer 308 150 grain, and then this 20 rounds of ammo incorporated, and that's 149 grain 7.62 by 51. With it being the first few rounds to get through, and really, I was really mostly trying to sight it in, which I did mostly with the SIG ammo. The other ammo was just kind of goofing around, having fun. I think I killed some water jugs, which I'll show at the end of this. But what I really sighted it in with the 308 with the 150 grain SIG, and it does great. I started at 50 and then went out to 100, and I was really able to keep it on paper. We were shooting a pizza box that we drew. It was a whole thing. Anyway, just to get on paper, and I'm gonna obviously go back out and to a range with some actual targets and really try to dial it, like fine tune it down. But at least I know that at least right now I will put every shot on paper, and it'll be within about this big of a ring. So that makes things sighting in a little bit easier. But for the first few shots, learning the rifle, one of the only issue I had was relearning how to use this particular trigger, because even, like I said before, on the other M1A, I didn't necessarily have that issue. There would be a nice reset, and then I could pull again just like an AR. And a couple other things with the magazines. I was also shooting the Thermold magazines, which these are a polymer magazine. Then I've got the Springfield Armory steel magazine. This fed great, had no issues. I think some of the hang-ups I had were with the Thermold. But I mean, overall, it was fine. The difference in weight is pretty big, and so I'm still gonna hold out any sort of judgment on these just yet, because it is the first few shots with the rifle, and once it gets a little bit more broken in, I'm sure some of those hangups aren't really gonna happen as much anymore. But yeah, so as far as this review goes, or this update rather goes, rifle, awesome to shoot. I love it. I would definitely trust it to go hunting with. And the scope is fantastic. Not a whole lot to say about it because I've only fired about 100 rounds through it. But it's dead on accurate. And once I got it dialed in, I was able to, from I think progressing up with the water jug test that I'll show here next. As I started at 100 yards, shot one and then stood up, and then just progressively moved up till I was at about the 50 yard, and then I think I got to about 25 yards in my last few shots there. But yeah, overall it's a lot of fun to shoot. If you're in the market for an M1A, highly recommend it. I am a huge fan of the platform and the style of rifle. Eventually, I will have an M1 Garand. But yeah, thanks for watching. Here is the water jug test.